and we are going to talk about the one and the only Skulls Nation Minnesota's Vikings. Guys, the Minnesota Vikings are potentially the real deal. The Minnesota Vikings improved to 4-0 this season with their win over the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. Started out hot, was it 21-0, and then got up to 28-7, and then the Packers reeled them in a little bit. But they ultimately win. So far this season, they have win over the New York Football Giants at New York, MetLife Stadium. They beat the San Francisco 49ers at home. They beat the Texans at home, and of course, they went on the road to beat the Green Bay Packers this season. Right now, going into Week 5, they're currently ranked 10th in total offense. They're averaging 333 yards per game with an average of 29 points per game. On the downside, they're also ranked 22nd on the defensive side of the ball, giving up 350 yards per game, but they're just letting the opponent score just 14 points per game. They're also 4th in the league in the +3 turnover differential. They have 8 interceptions to 2 fumble recoveries. So, guys, we got to ask the question. Are the Minnesota Vikings actually the real deal? Are the Minnesota Vikings actually front runners in the NFC North? Are the Minnesota Vikings actually a playoff potential NFC championship caliber team? Are they it? And I have to say no. Not because of the 4-0 start. Because I think they're playing really, really good football right now. They've beaten a good 49ers team. They beat a damn good Houston Texans team. They beat an even better Green Bay Packers team. This week they travel to London and they play the Jets. And then they have a bye week. And then they play the Detroit Lions at home. And then they play LA Rams on the road, Colts, Jaguars, Titans, and Bears. Guys, it is a real opportunity that the Minnesota Vikings could be 11-0 going into the Week 12 bye week. It is a real possibility. It is. But people are waiting for the other shoe to drop in Minnesota. Many Minnesota fans that I know is waiting for that other shoe to drop. Every time Minnesota has some type of success, something happens in return. Addison gets hurt. Jefferson gets hurt, right? Dante Culpepper blows his knee apart. Adrian Peterson beats his kids, right? There's always pros and cons. Every good comes with the bad in Minnesota. It seems like. So are the Vikings the real deal? I have to say no. Because of history, right? We always talk about how the Jets jet. How can the Jets stop from being the Jets? And we basically said they can't. It's an organizational thing. It starts from the top. And the Minnesota Vikings are always going to Viking at some point during the season. They're going to shoot themselves in the foot at some point in the season. The last team to start 11-0, Philadelphia Eagles, right? Actually, they were 10-1. They had an epic second half collapse. Yes, they still made the playoffs, but they got their ass whooped by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs. Are they the real deal? I can't say that yet. Even if they go 5-0, 6-0, 11-0, I'm still not going to be sold on the Minnesota Vikings. So guys, in the comments below, are you sold on the Minnesota Vikings? Are they the real deal? Do you think they're NFC North champion bound? Are they playoff bound? Can they get a playoff win? Let me know in the comments below. So let's go ahead and jump into the chat here. And Laura's giving us a skull with the purple hearts. I love it. She is a huge Vikings fan living in Oklahoma City. How that happens, who knows? There's only 3 things in Oklahoma: steers, queers, and Vikings fans, right? I'm kidding. James Frank says the Vikings, the real deal. They are the real deal. They'll be battling the Lions for the top spot in the NFC North. So James is basically saying this week they got the Jets in London. They got the bye week, and then they got the Detroit Lions at home. So James, if I'm reading your comment right, week 7 game versus the Detroit Lions could matter the division. I mean, it's a very real possibility, but I personally think the Detroit Lions are a little bit overrated. A little bit overhyped. But James says the Vikings are the real deal. Michael Burlew says, can be comeback player of the year when you never had a good year before? Asking for a friend named Sam Darnold. So, Michael, Mark D and I sat on Saturday's pregame show, and we kind of talked about comeback player of the year. Apparently, Sam Darnold is not eligible for comeback player of the year. I have yet to look up what the new qualifications for comeback player of the year are, but I feel like you have to have a season-ending injury and then come back from that injury. So as of right now, as I know, Sam Darnold is not qualified for that award. Yes, he was backup for 4 or 5 years and finally burst onto the scene, but now he's not qualified for it. James says they are the real deal. They've taken out 3 big teams, but beware of Darnold. You can't start he can start Darnolding at any time. So like when the Jets, Sam Darnold is going to Sam Darnold, says James. So he is not sold on the Minnesota Vikings. He is saying they're not the real deal. Laura says for the NFC North, they are the real deal, but everything else, no. So Laura, being the most realistic Vikings fan that I know right now, is saying, hey, the Vikings are going to win the NFC North. They're going to win the North. Packers, get out of here. Lions, overrated. Chicago Bears, the Bears have a shot. But playoff win? Slow it down, baby. Mark D, speaking of Mark D is in the chat. Guys, join us every Saturday night for a pregame show, about 2-hour pregame show. We break down each and every team, giving away how your team can win that particular game. He says, what up? And he says this revenge game for Sam Darnold against the Jets this weekend. Is it really a revenge game? I mean, it should be a thank you for letting me walk game. Thank you for trading me for the Carolina Panthers game, because if the Jets just would have let him rot, kept him in there for another year or 2 or 3, the Vikings, the Sam Darnold would not be here. Let's just be honest. He would be on his couch eating potato chips, making a baby. Let's just say that. John says, when do they play Washington? I do not have the schedule pulled up. Let me pull that up for you, John. Let me pull that up for you. I don't know if they even play Washington, to be honest, because I don't know if they do. But you're probably right. They probably do play. No, the Vikings do not play the Washington Commanders. So that is out the window there, Johnny boy. The Commanders do not play the Vikings. Laura says, it's coming when we start good. Something goes wrong, and when it goes wrong big time. That is kind of what I'm talking about. I am waiting for the other shoe to drop for the Minnesota Vikings. I am waiting for that other shoe to drop. Now, I don't want to wish any ill will. I think the Vikings are a great story. I like what they're doing. I enjoy everything what the Vikings are doing right now. Beating the 49ers. Oh my God, I love this so much. Beating the Houston Texans. Oh, my heart was so full of joy. And then beating the Green Bay Packers. Suck it, Packers fans. Don't worry about the cheesehead. My wife's a cheesehead. Get that out of here. But suck it. It's at some point it's all going to fall apart. Mark says, don't forget the Chargers Charger as well. True. John Parham is in the chat. He says Jaden Daniels or Marvin Harrison Jr. will be Rookie of the Year. I don't think Harrison Jr. will become Rookie of the of the Year just because he's not going to do that great, to be honest. But then John also says Minnesota will definitely make the playoffs. If you win the North, you're going to win the playoffs. That is just the way it is. John has to go back to work. Raider Nation for life. Have a good day at work, John. We'll catch you tomorrow, big guy. Be safe out there. John says, I'd say so, but you got a point. I didn't see that comment pop pop up as it come up, but I don't know what you're talking about out there, John, but definitely feel free to chime back in 100%. James says, I mean, Flacco was sitting on the couch and came back and won Player of the Year. So that award last season for Joe Flacco was absolutely not warranted at all. He came out and he won, 3 out of 4 games? Yes, he threw like 8 touchdowns, but also had like 5 interceptions. He was retired. What did he come back for him? No team wanting him? Like, that's basically, he retired because nobody wanted him, right? So just to say that, I'm glad that the rule has changed now, because Joe Flacco did not deserve comeback player of the year last year at all. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Michael Burlew says, I still say it's the Lions divisions. Vikings might get a wild card and they'll be one and done. I could see that. A lot rides on the Detroit Lions tonight, right? Obviously, in the NFL, we are the prisoner of the moment, right? We see a shiny object, we're like, whoo, right? But back over here, we still got the Detroit Lions. Still got the Detroit Lions kind of rumbling, kind of stirring alike a little bit. And once the Vikings start to go this, you might see the Lions go crunch on them and they're like, oh, shiny object, right? It is all about the momentum. And obviously the Lions have a good team. I'm not saying that they're a bad team, but I'm saying they've had one winning season in the last 6, whatever it's been. The Lions don't have that winning pedigree, and Dan Campbell, the habitual risk it or no biscuit type of person himself, is the Riskets performed for them well last season, but this year the Riskets are kind of like, But I can concur. Welcome to Miami, Laura. What are you even talking about? James says, I sound like a Browns fan. Listen. It is what it is. Mark D is clarifying the comeback player of the rule now, saying you have to come back from an injury. So he's saying Aaron Rodgers will more than likely win comeback player of the year. Not if he throws for 1 for 7 for 7 yards again. James Frank says Lions on primetime are crazy good. They are. They're on primetime tonight. We'll see how good they actually are. Laura says I'm just waiting for all the healthy on the field and see what happens. It was nice seeing Addison back on the field last night for the Vikings. And James thinks like, nah. Nicholas Jamar Chubb will win comeback player of the year. Well, James, I understand you are a Browns fan, but we have yet to see Mr. Nicholas Jamar Chubb on the field. So to win the award, you have to be on the field, but we will see.